All righty, we are live. We are live. Hallelujah. All praises to the Most High. Shalom, shalom, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Um, if you are in the chat, make sure you like the video, leave us a comment below, and we have a awesome family that's going to join us today, talking about some retirement, talking about their experience, just here in Africa, their experience before coming to Africa also. So you guys want to stay tuned to the end. And without further ado, I will add them to the stage and allow them to introduce themselves. So welcome, guys. Welcome. Shalom.
Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Shalom.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
No problem. So would you guys mind introducing yourselves?
I'm Marlene.
And I'm Mark. Josiah.
I'm Daniel.
Yes.
So you're
And
working
we
with-
are,
Oh, wait.
Yes.
I know you was about to say it.
Yes, we're waiting with Mark.
yes.
That's the marking.
Yes, welcome, guys. Welcome. Yes, so I'm glad to have you guys on. Like I said, we were backstage just smiling away, laughing away. So it definitely this is definitely a family of ours in Zanzibar, and we've been in contact for the past 3 years, ever since we known each other. And it's been super fast. Time is just speeding up. So
Yeah.
it's like, man, it feels like yesterday, but it's been 3 years. So how has Zanzibar been treating you guys since?
Well, pretty good. We are, we are enjoying the people and I'm about peace and quiet. Zanzibar offers, we want to say hello to one of our sons who's back in Maryland.
Mateo. Hey, love you.
Yeah. But the people are nice, and I think someone inviting, which makes me feel welcome.
Yes.
And like, for example, I get teased a lot about trying to speak Swahili. They urge you on, they encourage
Yes.
you. I think that's nice. And they have fun with you, and I like that. So that's some cool stuff. And that's why I think Zanzibar is treating me well.
What about you, Mom?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been just really being refreshing here. Like you say, the people are very welcoming. I'm thankful that we've got to know people. We've established relationships. It's been really, really nice just being here, like you say, in our retirement time, and it's been really good. And just like you say, time has really gone by. You don't realize how long you're somewhere, and you start counting down. That's a year, it's another year. But like I say, we've met some really good people and learning the language, trying to press more into it. But I love that they help you if they'll greet you, and if you're not sure what to say back, they'll help you. And that's really good. That really just makes you feel good. So enjoying our time growing and just learning more about the culture, and just trying to just continue to enjoy our time.
Yes, that's awesome.
And glad to be here with my family. I'm glad they're retired. It's still pretty surreal to think that, they've had an adventurous life, and now they're on a tropical island somewhere, happy, retired, health better than ever, all of ours, but it's your parents. Glad I'm here with one of my brothers. It's great, just blessed.
Yeah, I echo a lot of what they say. It is truly a blessing. I remember the first week we got here, we felt that love.
Yeah, we did.
We met a lot of people. We learned some history. We got to see the culture like within the first 2 days of just the social aspects and the community. It was a blessing. So
Yes.
yeah, really.
Yes, that's great. That's great. Same with us. Um, that's why we always tell people. Maybe you guys can touch on this too. Africa is definitely different from the states. Um, just being here, just seeing how the people here is really loving their neighbor. This is what I
Yes.
always tell people. Like when you come to Africa, you will really understand how the scripture says you have to love your neighbor as yourself.
Right.
And Africa really shows that the love that they show teaches us a lot, especially coming from America. I know I'm still at a young age, but dealing with what we had to deal with, and just seeing just the past and just where our community came from. It's like, man, I wish all our people in America can um, feel this love because it's really organic and it's really true. So that's awesome to hear. So, do you guys or could you guys touch on just from I can say just from you guys' young age to now? So maybe from the how how could you see from the 2000s till now a shift America and then coming to Africa?
Well, even I did want to say something back to when you were talking about the love, because I had an example pop into my head while you were sharing that you wish other people could experience the type of love in Africa, which I gotta admit is it's for real. The thing that popped into my head was I remember that we would have some of the kids playing and they would just come over to the house. I mean, they just take their shoes off, knock on the door, or just kind
Come
of
right
bust
in.
right in the door. And it's like, what you doing? And it's funny because these are like, I don't know, 8, 9 years old, 10 years old. And so I was like, wow, that reminds me of being a kid in the 60s. And I kind of had forgotten about that. And that was refreshing. And then one other example is people will wonder how you're doing and come over to the house if they haven't seen you in a little while. And so I remember my mother in, like, I don't know, 1967, 1968, sending me down the street to check on maybe someone who now I see is my age. And anyway, that just hit me. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
And you go down to go see Mrs. Graves or whoever, and to see if they need something, or here, take them this pie or something like that. And I see that kind of stuff does go on here.
Yes. Yes, that's awesome to hear. I remember, I guess when I was at a younger age, my mom used to say back in her day, they can leave the doors open at night and everything was okay. And that's how you really feel here in Africa because it is a community, a village that is really safe like that. So that's just awesome to hear. Yes.
Yeah. You were asking us about the 2000s.
You said the 2000s.
Before you were asking us about talk
Mhm.
about life, or
Yeah.
we, I guess, thought
Yeah.
about even here.
Yeah. I would get. I guess I'm saying like a shift, like because I know you guys. I know for me, I was young, so I really couldn't like really see at like how I'm seeing it now. So I just want to get some knowledge and understanding and wisdom from you guys, and then we can move on.
Yeah, we're going back and forth trying to remember exactly in and around the time. So it's like, you hear things here and there, but then when we actually it started growing, or I'm thinking maybe 2014 or something, just trying to remember when you might hear someone say, I don't know, maybe a brother, that we fellowship with might have mentioned a few things or scripture or something, but you've always kind of known here and there that things maybe weren't kind of like what you thought they should be, but you couldn't really put your finger on it. You really didn't know, or you might remember somebody told you something years ago when you were younger, and then when you start hearing things around that time, you're like, somebody did tell me that maybe we might be so-and-so, but you brush it off, and then when it comes up now around that time, you're like, I think I'm kind of knowing a little bit of what they're talking about, but then so we're trying to get an understanding about it, and then, so it wasn't like a whole lot of people, maybe one or two other people kind of telling us some things, and then, so it was like a time of just journey of just trying to understand and get some backing, some scripture, something on it. So that's the last I can remember, the earliest. But
I think
yeah.
I think the turmoil that was just constant in the States, it caused me to have a thought of something's not quite right, and I don't know what it is, but then to slowly begin to be awakened and having, as Marlene said, a good brother talk to us and say, well, have you read Deuteronomy 28? What do you think that's talking about?
Yeah.
What group of people does that touch on, who may still be walking the earth today? And you start thinking about things like that. I remember being at work and saying to people, did you know this? Did you know who we are? And I'm standing out by the elevator, and some folks said, oh, yeah, I'm from Newark, and yeah, my dad, Gabrielle told me, he said, my dad we always knew that, who we were. I was like, wow, nobody told me.
Right.
And
Right.
it is like you're awakening from a sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was telling Mark when he was telling me that, I remember I was in like 11th grade in like 72 or something. I'll never forget the neighborhood I lived in. There was a young lady, we'd catch the bus, and everybody thought she was militant, because every time she got on the bus, she'd talk about we as Black people. We should be above people. She was always talking about us like we should be better than what we are. We shouldn't be down here. But everybody didn't want to hear what she had to say. They thought she was just some militant, whatever. Then fast forward so many years later, I thought about her conversation and things that she used to say, and I said, some of the stuff she said, it kind of started to remind me of Marcus Garvey, because I didn't know who he was a whole lot, because in school they only give you a little bit of history. So when I started hearing her, I said, she was saying here and there something sounding like what he was saying. And then, all of a sudden little things start, coming in, you're like, wow.
I think what happens is, because I had a close friend of mine too, in the 70s, and he would talk about Marcus Garvey also. And I think what happens is there's these puzzle pieces, and they start flying from left field, right field, north, south, east, west, and the puzzle just flies together. And all of a sudden you can see the picture. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I went through the 5 stages of grief, like denial, anger,
sadness, all
Yeah.
of that.
Few years.
Especially since like around that time, there was like a lot of uptick in Hollywood, since I had, if you remember, I had that background working in movies and stuff. There was like, Django Unchained and Free State of Jones and a lot of movies about just Black history, maybe not as in-depth as the biblical overlap, but to me at least, it felt like an uptick in just a lot of Black history films and television, like the Underground, and some other shows and entertainment. Daniel's into gaming. I saw an uptick as well, just awareness, especially since also around that time, not George Floyd just yet, but we had issues in Baltimore with police brutality. So it seemed like everything was really intense around like 2013, 2015, leading up to now. As you ask that question, I start to think about in entertainment, in news, there was violence or inspiration around our people that I don't think I'd sensed or noticed before.
Yeah, and you really you become more aware to, I guess, how the U.S. may treat certain groups of people, or like what is prioritized, or how things are talked about. And it's like this suppression.
Yeah.
And, Josiah's talking about that time of being police brutality. For me, it was more because I'm the youngest. I'm thinking of like in those 2016 to like 2019, like that gap of just not a whole lot of change and things still happening. And it's just unusual. Very unusual. It's like, what is it, that line from the Disney movie, and everybody's okay with this, the Lion King.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just,
Mhm.
what's going on? Why aren't we,
And everybody's okay with this.
Yeah.
I had a strange thing happen to me. We were living in Los Angeles at the time. And I don't think we had even considered, Africa wasn't on our dashboard. And I was living a dream of we moved from the DMV, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, 3,000 miles across my dream of Los Angeles, and loving Southern California. And what happened was I worked for the government, and I was downtown, and the federal building was just outside of, I think, Little Tokyo and that stuff. And somebody had come up to me. I don't know, I have that kind of face wherever I am. People come up and ask me directions, ask me things. And they were asking me where, like, something was. And I was like, yeah, it's only 2 blocks around, and you can see there's Little Armenia, there's Little China, there's Chinatown, there's Little Tokyo, and museums and all that kind of stuff. And it hit me that it's true. Nobody comes up and asks how to get to the hood. Nobody comes and asks, I want to see Compton. I want to see. And I was like, wow. And it just sort of, I was standing on the corner and I had to stop for a minute on my journey from lunch or something like that and realize, wow, man, nobody's really interested in us, but people want to. It's like you want what we have, but you don't want the pain or the culture that goes with it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So when during that time, did you believe that change was there, like just everything, just the protesting and everything that was going on? Did you believe that things were going to change, or was it like, oh, we have to get out of here?
For me, did I believe things were going to change? I think I was. I had taken the approach of I'm a watch and see, because this is what is it? 6? Is it 5 feet apart? 6 feet apart?
6 to 8.
Yeah.
6 feet. Like, you're supposed to be apart. Everybody's separate.
Oh, yeah.
People's indoor. Like, this is a time. Whales are in Manhattan and there's pelicans flying. Like, this is supposed to be lockdown peace.
I got you.
And that's not happening. And then the
People were still
protests,
violent.
people were still violent in the protests. And I think I'd taken that approach to, like, I'll see what other people will do, because my people have been protesting since before I was born. So I don't know if I answered your question the best. Not as much. I didn't really think things would change, but I wanted to see, like, if the people who have that power and privilege wanted to change it, they could change it. And a lot of them were out in the front. And so you could see, okay, the people above them who hold higher powers, what will happen. And we know what happens.
I think my thoughts around that time was, like Daniel was saying, all these marches and all the things that people were saying. And I think what I started, probably a little bit even before that, I started paying attention to all the things that people were saying they wanted to happen. You had Obama come in, you had all these things that people thought change was going to happen, and they're looking for people, like I say, people to do that. But I got to the point where I was like, I will believe it when I see it. But I think I realized more and more that everybody's doing everything, quote, in the flesh, thinking that a person, going to do that, and not realizing all the things that are going on. It's a spiritual thing. And so for them to think that, oh, we're going to get, things are going to happen, because when you look back at so many years on something and you look up to a certain point, you see, if you really look at it, things really have not changed. You might have a drop of something and people say, oh, great, 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 but it's a drop in the bucket of something that's, you know, so minuscule, but people are off and running and thinking this is a change, and it's really not, but it's like, we're so deceived into thinking these things because we put all our trust in man and all these things, and it's not, you know. So I didn't really think that things were really going to change, and I got to the point where, as we got further understanding when we were living in California, we got closer to the point where, and we realized really who we were, and we're like, it's just, this is not it, where we are. It's just not. It's not, the people everybody's looking up to, they're not the ones you need to be looking up to. They're not going to, but people say, you're thinking somebody's going to save you. They're not going to come save you,
Right.
you know? So, no, I didn't think that.
For me, I recall driving on the streets of Los Angeles. There's one place in particular, and it's a busy intersection. I remember seeing people on the corner for like Black Lives Matter or something like that. And I really kind of laid back, like, no, I'm not really, this is not my battle, this is not my war. It's like, I don't know, if you know to do right, you need to just do it. I don't need to like ask you to, or if I have to and beg you, then something's wrong here. I know we experienced years before we moved out of the DMV, both myself and Josiah had experienced an interaction, two separate interactions with the police. Him at, he can tell you about it up in Baltimore if he feels like it, but for me, in our house in Maryland, to have it surrounded by a SWAT team because someone had called the authorities and they thought I had a rifle. Now, mind you, I'm from Midwest and I have owned a rifle before. I've gone hunting for pheasant and quail and rabbit, but I no longer had a rifle. I actually had a guitar and thought I'd help my wife by doing the dishes, but I had the guitar strapped to my back and it probably looked like a rifle to somebody who was nosy. And so next thing I know, my wife can't get into our cul-de-sac because the police are telling her that there's some kind of situation and asked her what house she lives in, and that's the house with the situation. And they have me come out with my hands up, to get down on my knees, and I'm out in our front yard. And it's wild to see everybody in their black gear aimed at me, and that just doesn't leave a good taste in your mouth. So, my answer to your question with regard to did I think it was going to change or anything, as one person I heard put it, you can't fix something that is eternally broken.
Eternally, yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I've gone through something similar. Yeah, like maybe 2 weeks out from graduating university, I had just gotten off the phone with my family, you know, guys, the tickets for the graduation, here's where you're going to park, all those logistical things. And I was doing my final film project in the editing bay with my partners. And this was around the time of, I think it was Freddie Gray, I think, rest in peace. Somewhere around that time. So the city of Baltimore was, you know, it's very tense. And my university was just dealing with a lot of petty crime, you know, it's not unique. But I fit the profile, allegedly, of, you know, some robbery, something that had happened. So I came around the corner at the library and university PD. Before I know it, I just shut off my phone, ended the call, and get on the ground. And I'm like, what's going on? And they're just running at me. And so I just immediately kissed the paper. Or I was inside, actually, it wasn't even outside. So directly behind me is the opening of the library. So there are students like 5 feet from me. Everyone's just doing their work, checking out books, doing stuff on the computer. And long story short, I wasn't, of course, the person. They later found out it was a prank, which I didn't think was funny. Not on me particularly, but just trying to scare the universe. I don't know. People are tripping. It's finals, whatever. And it sucked because they looked through my phone. Who are you talking to? And, no, it's not him. It's not, And one was white, one was black. I think one of them was like, "You did good." I'm rattled, make me feel better. But I'm like, I had to walk back in there, so even past some people I kind of knew, like what just happened didn't happen, and it was weird. I was for weeks and stuff, and not to belabor it, but fast forward to that to getting ready to move abroad and seeing political things, seeing people experience what my dad and I did, but even worse, they're not here anymore. Y'all, and I just felt like whatever needs to happen to make it better hasn't happened yet, and is there another option for me beyond voting, beyond marching, beyond all the peaceful things you're supposed to do that I think in my opinion, aren't saving people's lives. So when the option with the family to do something different and board a plane, get our finances together and things like that came up, and we felt we heard the Most High, do you want to leave? And we was like, yeah, we do. And away was me.
Yeah. So I guess that brings me to my next question. With all that happened, I didn't know that happened to you guys. That's a lot. Like, that's a lot. So with that happening, what was it? All you guys made a decision that Africa was the choice, like the destination, or was another place a destination? Who decided to choose Africa?
So before we were, I don't know, thinking about Africa, financially, we were not a 2-income household for a long time, like 25 years. And the reason why is because Marlene had homeschooled our 4 sons for 25 years. And so we were on, yes. So we really didn't have tons of money. What I noticed is some people in comments put like, "Oh, you must be wealthy," and this or that. We are the first persons from our families to graduate from college. I know your rib is Buckeye, well, I'm from connected to the University of Illinois. So it'll be all right. But she's University of Maryland. But the deal is like, no, actually, we come from humble beginnings. I mean, my mother was a janitor at the high school where I went to school. Okay, and that's meaning she washed clothes and cleaned house. And so, but I guess I'm just trying to give the reality of it. We financially had gone through some hard times, and we were coming out of that, and we knew we weren't going to be able to retire financially in the U.S. So there are many slices to the pie. There is the turmoil in the country, and so we've seen a lot of things. Whether we were on a call with someone this a few minutes ago, and we were talking, it's like, wow, we saw Freddie Hampton, Malcolm X, MLK, on and on, and before we even start getting to, a lot of the young people who have been recently killed. We've lived through all that, right? And it's like, so there's slices to the pie, and finance was one of several slices. And so we were looking in the Caribbean, like St. Kitts and Nevis. We went down there, been to Jamaica on father and son trips with our sons. and with Puerto Rico.
Yeah, we thought about the Virgin Islands. We just started checking out places that kind of fit us and, and we were looking.
So what was going on is part of what I did when I was working was to be an executive coach or a life coach or whatever. And so I began to if you're going to be a coach, you have a coach. And so talking to my colleagues who are also coaches, what happens is you begin to ask different questions. And when you change your questions, you can change your life. And so the question was, well, how can I make it financially? Well, you're not bound geographically. Look somewhere else. Now, the way we ended up in Los Angeles was because I was on the East Coast because it was just somewhere I had gone to, and she and I met and our lives evolved. But my desire was Southern California. So we got blessed to be able to be living in Southern California just because I asked, and the opportunity and the Most High provided the window of opportunity. And so that's another example. Well, we are all about people realizing you can do more than what you can ask or think if you would just ask or think.
Yeah.
And so you begin to challenge yourself, and you find growth when you're uncomfortable in discomfort. That's where growth really happens. And so anyway, we're out in Los Angeles. We started looking for houses.
Yes. Northern California,
Yes,
we were going to different areas.
Inland Empire.
The Inland Empire. We took fun day hot trips all throughout Northern California, just trying to scope out places, because Los Angeles, one of the most expensive cities in the United States. And it's, we knew that.
Yeah.
But then when Revelation came and the Most High answered our prayer, we were like, okay, we left some things. And so we started scoping some areas out.
So what he's talking about there, we even went to a broker and got ourselves approved to look at these houses that Josiah and Daniel were talking about in the Inland Empire. So, I mean, and then Daniel, we're making that hour drive, and Daniel says, well, just because we should.
And just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right.
Yeah. And we were like, yeah. So Daniel and I have been to Houston, Texas, and and then our family had gone through Houston, Texas, and some former colleagues of mine let us stay at their nice house. And I was testing Marlene. I was like, what you think of this house? And it was like nice ranch house, nice brick home, Commodore, brick house, nice garage, nice land and all that stuff. And so I got on Zillow and looking around, and we talked to my colleague, my friend, and so we were going to move to Houston, Texas. Texas is tax-free from a taxes point of view, I believe. And all of a sudden, the United States started changing, and the prices of everything was doubling and going higher. And that was going to be our in-between stop. Houston. We were going to retire there and kind of get our bearings, get our feet under us, and rebuild. And we just said, President Biden came on.
Joe. You started calling him Joe.
He came on TV. I had not retired yet. And he said everybody needed, it was mandatory. You must get the job. And that's when I looked at Marlene like this. I was like, we out of here. It was like no ifs, ands, or buts.
No.
Daniel started packing suitcases and getting rid of his dressers or whatever you call it, what do you call it, chest of drawers and all that.
That's good. So did you guys go ahead? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I also was like in the middle of work and left the show because all of Hollywood was required to do it as well. And we just didn't feel comfortable with it. We thought there might be some other ways to handle that because people was getting sick, things were happening. And so we just, in faith, realized maybe we were positioned to leave. So, and then what were you going to ask?
Yeah, so did you guys bring a lot of stuff, or was it just suitcases, or did you guys ship things over?
Just
suitcases.
We
We
downsized.
downsized, we started giving away, taking things to
Donate.
wherever you can donate, we did that, yeah. We'd already decided we were not bringing furniture.
I sold my car. We
Yeah,
sold
we
both our
sold
cars.
our cars
We
before we,
coordinated when to sell vehicles because it wasn't worth it to ship it, and also you can't the
Yeah.
wheel is on the opposite side
Yeah.
of the vehicle, and that's a fine, and all those. It was
Yeah,
just
it's just,
it was too much.
yeah.
So we downsized majorly.
Yeah, Dad sold his motorcycle.
That's what was LED.
Sacrifices were made.
Yes, yes, indeed.
I
You
sold
know
my
what?
books.
Yes, what we're doing is we're mentioning things that were near and dear to our heart. When you heard Josiah, you'll have to talk about the books and stuff, but the motorcycle. So it seems like a off the cuff kind of thing. She's got her car, and her parents were in motorcycle clubs, right? Like law enforcement, and they had
years.
been all over the United States.
Yes.
So it was nothing for me to have a motorcycle. Her brother's got a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And I finally get this Harley that I like, this Sportster. And because that was about my 13th bike or something by this time in my life. But, I got a lesson for people here because whether people can do things, okay? And I heard somebody say this, you have to put some feet to your faith. So anyway, many years ago, it was my birthday. I had brand new motorcycles. I had used motorcycles that her brother helped me put together and make them work and all this kind of stuff. And I kind of wondered about a Harley. And another son of ours had blessed me and surprised me and said, bring your helmet, bring your leather, your jacket, and come on with me. And we all went over to the Harley place, and I didn't know what was going on. And so I rode this bike, and I fell in love with the ride. Oh my goodness, it was so nice. And it hit me, and they pushed me. My family did push me. The reason why you have a Harley, because you never went in to ask the price to see if you could even afford it. So I ended up getting myself a used Harley that I paid cash for, and I was quite happy. But if we as people would really be interacting with the Most High on a daily basis, like He really is our daddy, I think we would find it easier to walk this walk. And what happened was I had limiting beliefs that I couldn't get this Harley because I had created this story in my head that I couldn't afford it, when these people here and some others who aren't on camera were saying to me, you never asked how much it was. So now you and the people go in there and ask. And so I did, and I was like, oh, well, okay. She was like, yeah, we can do it, and eventually when I had got the thing. But what I'm saying is, just like he mentioned books, Josiah mentioned his love, maybe he'll touch on that. These were things that we enjoy and we sacrifice them. That's the point.
Yes, that's awesome. That is awesome. Like you never know till you ask, and that's very, very powerful. Like that's very mental. Like if you don't ask, you just don't know. Right. So I know it's coming because we hear it all the time from people like, oh, I can't afford to come to Africa, but you're not asking the right questions. Like that shouldn't be in your vocabulary. You should believe that you can. You should be moving that way. You should really be doing the things to get to that level, to get to Africa, if that's what you want to do. So that's very powerful right there. And just as you were saying, sacrifice has to be made. It has to be made. Like that's biblical. That's just biblical. Like you got to think of Abraham when the Most High told him to bring Isaac to the top of the mountain. That's very hard to think about. Like I still every time I think about it, it's like, whoa, could I really be in that position to take my son up there and have just right in the action, and then the Most High said stop. So we really have to be at the point of ready to sacrifice whatever the Most High tell us to sacrifice. So that's very good. Thank you for sharing.
I should say something real quick. When you brought that up, it made me think of the other scripture where Abraham has to leave his family, and he's got to go out and go to the land, and he's leaving everything. And that was something we would talk about when we were mapping out leaving the United States, and it was hard. But it's like, here's this example of Father Abraham, like, he did this thing, and the Most High was with him, and we would reflect on that. So you brought that up, that kind of jogged my memory when we were in California.
We are pilgrim people, and if you're not awakened, or if someone is not awakened, that doesn't mean deep in your DNA, it doesn't know that you're a pilgrim people. And it's like, everybody did some kind of major shift in their life. If you check in the Bible, I don't know. I was looking at Ruth today, and so you have someone who says, your God will be my God, and your land is my land, and I'm following you. I'm sticking with you. And it was like, wow, man. It's like, okay, so anyway, it's just this business of being mobile until Yahusha decides we got a nation, we got a geography, and I'm outlining it right now.
Yeah. Exactly. You got to be occupied in the last days. You have to be occupied. So yeah, that's good. So being here in Africa, let's kind of talk about Africa. What kind of mindset do people need to have just landing here in Africa? First time being here in Africa, what would you say to someone that is ready? They are coming. This is their first time. What would you share with them?
You're gonna make mistakes, whether it's Africa or otherwise. We were actually talking about that this week. Some people, young and old, they want to move somewhere and they don't want to make any mistakes. We made something that we paid too much money for something. Sometimes a consultation or a book wasn't what we thought it would be, and on and on and on. But if you keep trying to avoid the mistakes, you might not do anything. You might not go on the right consultation. You might not find out about the perfect airline or luggage, healthcare, country, digital nomad visa, whatever, if you don't try something. So that's one thing. What were you going to say?
No, I guess a lot of things that we've really learned over time is that when you do make that move and you come, just rest. Like sometimes people, they want to just dive into stuff. I'm going to get this and I'm going to do this. Don't do that. Don't run and do, because you're carrying whatever you did in the States, that rat race. I got to do. When you get here, just relax, settle in, rent a place, get to know your environment. Just, relax and settle in. That's right.
Go ahead.
I would say be flexible. You're going to be challenged in different ways than you were in the States, because you're coming to the continent of Africa, where there's over 50 countries. And the culture is so vast and deep. Within those countries, there are tribes that can be over 50, like over 100. So there's a lot of adjustment going. Like, I love what Mom said, like, take your time, because we all have things that we do unaware, like muscle memory, and it may not apply to whatever country you're going to. So you really want to be flexible and accept the process of how it may take a little extra time. It may be poly. It's okay. It'll get done.
I think what comes to my mind, and to answer Sharice's question, no, we haven't been to Burkina Faso, and Burkina Faso is probably further away from us geographically
Yeah.
than Los Angeles is to
Maryland.
Maryland. Yeah,
It's huge.
the continent of Africa is so large that, well, let's see, somebody came to visit Ghana. Oh yeah, from my hometown. That's right. And they were up in Ghana, and they called us, and I was like, we're down Tanzania, Zanzibar, and they didn't realize how far away that is. You could fit the whole map of the world pretty much in the continent of Africa. And I think most people don't realize that you could easily hide the whole lower 48 of the United States inside the upper part, just the upper part of the continent of Africa. But no, we have not been there. The thing that came to my mind, I suppose, is also in terms of detoxing oneself. We have been through a lot as people, and then you lay on top of that what Marlene referred to. I think she did. We call it the hamster wheel. You're on this hamster wheel constantly, and time is a commodity, meaning like a commodity is something like canned goods. You could just have millions of them, and they're usually low price. Whereas where we are from in the United States, so if I'm talking to this person, as you said, what would you say to them? It's like, to you, time is very rare.
Yeah.
Here, it's not rare. It's what you got. And so you have to flip in your mind that I'm going to get 3 things done today. I'm going to go to the telephone company. I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to go and get this bureaucratic thing taken care of. No, you won't. No, you won't. You need to just chillax. You need to relax and just back off.
You maybe put one thing on that list. They depending on where you're at, and maybe it doesn't depend, they probably accidentally wasted more time than you've ever had as an American, and accidentally, because the culture and the pace of living, the priorities, the infrastructure, on and on, is just different across Africa in general, certainly here in East Africa, than in the United States.
Exactly. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I can share a story of this one experience where we were staying in Tonga, Tanzania, and we wanted to get our children's passport, our younger baby's passports, and they messed up one letter of my name on her birth certificate. So I traveled to Dar es Salaam, spoke with the person I needed to speak with. Of course, he wanted some money, and I didn't want to pay him. So I said, when is the fastest time you can get it done? Because my home is in Tonga, that's 6 hours away. Could you try to do it today? He said, no, just going back and forth. So he said, yeah, just come back in 2 days. I come back in 2 days, and he printed the birth certificate the same day that two days ago, the same day that I asked him to do it. So on the birth certificate, it says, just say I went there Monday. It got printed Monday. So he wasted all the time. He was just trying to get money. And it was just like, why didn't you just do it? I could have stayed after hours and get the birth certificate. Now I just wait 2 days in Dar es Salaam, away from my family. It's like they time is something different here. So
that's a good term.
It's something different. I know. Yeah,
I like that.
Noted that.
Something different.
Something different. But I think what I'm also trying to do is flip the script, because I have burned, meaning inside, I've been churned. Like I'm used to chop, chop, chop. Even though I'm slow from the Midwest and I talk round Robin's barn, I don't know if I ever really answer your questions. But there's something that being in the DMV, in Washington, D.C., being in Los Angeles, it's kind of like, come on now. And what I tried to say to myself is like, okay, I need to adjust.
Mhm.
I need to think about my blood pressure. I need to think about, is this really all this important? Does it, I mean, it is important, whatever it is, but what is it, what is the lesson that I can learn from it? And so I've tried to change my perspective. So what I'm doing is I'm talking to myself right now and just allowing you to hear me do that. And just saying to myself, yeah, but I don't want to rush my life. Because now that I'm getting older, it's like each day is more and more precious. And I'm seeing, there was a homegoing service for a friend of ours just yesterday, as a matter of fact. And then my mother passed away a couple months ago. Then right when we got back, then a childhood friend of mine, he passed away. And it's like chop, 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 like that. And so I'm seeing life is very precious, and I don't want to rush it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'll save that question for later. That's really good. I wanted to ask, have you guys visited other countries? And if so, is it different from the country you're in now?
Yeah, we did.
Well,
Well, we did. We've traveled the world, like Father Son Trips Dad mentioned, but we started off, if we didn't say it earlier, we started off about under a year in Rwanda, and about, I think it was 2021, that was the first country we lived in for about 9 months to a year. There was a nice soft landing for us. When we did our one and only visa run at the time, we visited Uganda, Kabale, Uganda, for the weekend, for a friend's, dear family friend's birthday party, and it was very nice. It was different. It was also the same, got new currency, checked out different locales and things like that, still lush and green.
I think the people in Uganda, I felt that they were like, I don't know.
lively?
Yeah, more lively.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I just went to insert
No,
that.
that's great. That, then we've been here in Zanzibar the past 2 years. We make runs to mainland Tanzania as often as we can. So we've been a few places in Dar. There's a lot more to see in Dar. We've been to Tanga. I've been to Arusha, and so there's still a lot more to see as far as Africa.
Yeah, he got to pet the lions and
Giraffes and
Yeah.
wildebeest and stuff.
Yeah.
We've hung out with the sea turtles, the giant turtles, the
Yeah.
dolphins, some of the islands. There's still islands
Oh,
here.
and you saw Mount Kilimanjaro. I mean, we saw it coming
We
back.
saw it briefly.
But you were there.
Well, no, it was still in the distance.
Oh, yeah, right, because it's big.
Because it's big. I was at a safari park and we saw it, and then on a recent return trip back, we were near it for like an hour or something. But that's it here. If you're talking about Africa, Rwanda, Uganda, Zanzibar, Tanzania, so far.
But we do want to travel more. Josiah mentioned lightly. What Marlene and I had agreed was that I would do father and son trips.
Yeah.
So within our family, we either one-on-one or all together or somewhere from the Caribbean stuff, the Bahamas, Bermuda, Japan. We got a son go Australia.
Italy, France. Ethan went to Italy and France.
Yeah.
And maybe some others. Matthew also went to Mexico. And Australia. Dad and I went to Mexico.
Dad and I went to Japan.
Yeah. You and Ethan went to Dad and Ethan went to Jamaica. So we've been blessed, thankfully, prior to living abroad permanently, to do family trips together in different ways across the world. We've been blessed.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what would you say the difference is? I guess I can say Japan. Well, this is hard for me to try to explain. So I know you guys get it because just been here in Africa, there's a humbleness about people, or really been outside of America, I should say. There's a humbleness about, people. So is that humbleness in Japan the same as Africa in a way?
I would say, yeah, like people are very kind. Like I remember Dad and I were trying to take the subway to get on the train. And I think it was a gentleman, this nice guy, he had helped us, brought us over to the kiosk where the maps were and everything. And even one time, I think we were trying to go to like this specific jewelry store or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Were very nice. So that humbleness you're talking about, yes, I definitely felt that in Japan. It was a totally different vibe.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can tell it's part of their culture.
Yeah.
Because I did get the feeling that, oh, they're not doing this. I can be very naive. And I had to say to myself, oh, they're not doing this because they like you, Mark. It's a part of their culture. It's just how they are. So when Daniel mentioned we were looking in a jewelry store, I mean, we're wearing, or I was wearing shorts. I don't know. It was hot. And probably might have just had on a t-shirt, not even a collared shirt like this. And we go in this jewelry store, and it's a highfalutin jewelry store.
Yeah.
And so I was asking them questions about rings for her, and she's not with us, right? It's just me and Daniel. And they took us up in the elevator to the special room where it's just us and a couple chairs, and she's getting us drinks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's what we mean when we say nice, because you're not going to get that looking the way we look and the way I was dressed in other places.
No, not in the States.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's what I guess I was trying to point out. Like everywhere is different from America. Like once you step outside of America, there's just a humbleness of like just people in general. People know how to be human. Like there's a and it's crazy to say that, but it's so true. And once you come outside of America and travel, you will understand what I mean by that.
Yeah.
I hope people really caught what you just said, because we have, as Americans, this ignorant arrogance about us. And when I say ignorant, that's not a derogatory. It just means not knowing. Okay.
Yeah.
A blind spot, I'll call it that. But it becomes an arrogance because we don't, unless you get out of the United States, you believe your own publicist. And in my opinion, the States, we have a very, very good publicist. And we believe our own publicity.
Exactly. Yes. That's good. That's good. So, chat. I just wanted to say this before. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the chat. Make sure you like the video. Shalom, shalom, Ricky. Welcome, guys. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, I have a question. I'm going back to what you were saying earlier, Uncle Mark. So what was important in the States? Is that important to you now? Like, what's the difference of being in the States, like what's really important, and then being in Africa and what's really important? How could you share that with the audience?
I'm not sure if I'm catching all of your questions. You're saying what was really important to me in the United States?
Yes.
And is it still important to me here?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh my. You should
Like, because I know just being here in Africa, you're just a lot of perspectives that change. So it's like,
Can she answer? Can I
can answer for him because he made a comment on this. I think he was saying the other day something about he really values his time more. It's like, even though he had time when we were there, he would take time to himself to walk and do things and be. But I think here, he seems that he can just take time to himself more. And so even though it might have been an important thing to them, because he does like that, but I think it's more magnified here of being able to do it. Because there, I think some of the reasoning of taking more time to yourself there might have been more of a to get out of the stress rate related things.
Yeah.
So maybe when you're in the States, you're okay, I need to take a run. Because it's a stress thing. And so you need to do certain things to be more just, I need my downtime. Whereas here it's because you just want to do it because you just want that time. You just want to, so
I'm not trying to get out of something.
Yeah.
Here.
Maybe
That's good. That's good. And anyone can answer too.
I feel bad because my answer is kind of similar to
That's
theirs.
okay.
I think there's this level of peace. Peace was always important to me in the States, but I didn't realize how little of it I had until I got out of there. Like it's people asking certain questions about life or certain let me see. It's not as magnified, and it's not even like fully their fault. That's the culture of the States. Everybody's kind of like that. What you doing? What you gonna be doing when you get there? What you gonna like? I'm living like I'm, as like that's what we do. And versus the existing that used to be kind of what you would do in the States trying to get by versus you can live. That piece is just amplified here. Like I hope I did answer your question. Like that's
Definitely, because like the question right there is like, do people really know what peace is? Living in the States, like once you get out of the States, you really like, wow, it's so unfamiliar, and it's like, this is kind of like different. This is very peaceful. Like I haven't experienced this in a really forever. So it's just like wherever. So do you really know what peace is? Like that's the question that our people really need to ask themselves. Like those are the questions that needs to be asked. Do I know what peace is?
Yeah. I know for me, like, it depends on what's going on, but I think the opinions of white supremacy and stuff didn't matter to me as much. Because when I remember being in the States, I'm thinking about things that are critical over there. Like, are they taking our education out of the schools or the Crown Act or, police brutality or even things that aren't life and death, but it's about keeping our culture and stuff alive. Like, was someone nominated at the awards show or something about like, it reminds me of like, I think it was Toni Morrison said, racism is a distraction, because when one of them says you don't have history, you have to justify the history. If they say you don't have music, you got to justify the music. So instead of you focusing on the time you have, the music you have, the culture, the just enjoyment of life, you're distracted from just being alive. To your question and point earlier about life and peace. So that used to be really important to me. I remember, I was checking white friends left and right when, rest him, George Floyd was unalived, and one can still do that, but I noticed when I'm over here, there are other levels, because you're dealing, instead of with white Americans, now you're dealing with Europeans who might be problematic, or it's a different thing over in Africa. But now I'm not justifying. It was important for me to justify myself, even down to maybe the name of my podcast, the name of my book, or the name of like my identity, the racialization that I don't like being in the States. It becomes important to you because that's what you over. That's the rat race, part of the rat race you're in over there. But when you leave the hyper racialization culture in the States, and you come someplace where it's more about family, it's more about community, it's more about nutritious food, it's more about the lush nature of, the Ngorgo crater, or, the Indian Ocean. We can just walk to the Indian Ocean, or you can enjoy that. Oh, you can grow fruit on trees and eat from it in Africa, whereas you can't really do that in America because of stuff we didn't know that's just coming out today. Now coming in live, it's like, wow, everything's racialized. You can't even eat fruit sometimes in downtown because, that's why you're sneezing, because you got pollen, and, and it's a domino effect where you don't realize you're being overtaken by the racialization stuff.
It reminds me, I remember this old cartoon we used to watch called Static Shock on Kids WB. And in one episode, they handled a lot of serious topics in that children's cartoon. But in one episode, he goes to Africa and he's trying to explain to his best friend, he's like, I'm just a kid. I'm not like an African American. I'm not a black kid. I'm just a kid when I'm American.
Yeah, I get enjoy.
Yeah.
So that's not important to me. That's not as important to me over here because I get to really think about my family or what I want to do here. Where you're asking us, do we want to go travel? It's like I always wanted to travel, but now that I built on the foundation of blessed family vacations and things like that, that foundation has built in me, like, it's important to me to see more of the world, Africa or otherwise. It feels like that's a priority. Where some of that stuff I was talking about, it is when I'm in the States, but when I'm out of there, it's not important to me anymore.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's I would say like a status in a way. Like in the States, you want a status so people can see you in a way, but here in Africa, it's like you kind of don't want to be seen. You just want to be isolated and just continue just living your life. Just have a peaceful life. Yeah, I definitely say that just for myself. I don't try to strive for that status anymore. I don't want to have the car, I don't want to have the big house. I just make sure, the family is good and we can build up the foundation that we or the Most High blessed us with. So yes, that's good. That's good. There is a question for you guys. What is next?
Ooh, that's a lot. Go
Can I
ahead.
start it off and then turn it over there?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, thank you for that question, T's Real. I guess part A is you can even think of it as AWM. And the awakened part was even before I was awakened, and now it's an ever evolving kind of a thing. But it's for everyone to be awakening. The guys are going to begin to answer that question. They actually are running things. Marlene and I are like, what did she say, news anchors or something like that? Like Venus Fly from WKR Cincinnati or whatever. Anyway, so we're just the talent, and but our desire is for our family to be representing, as one brother would say, representing the Most High and what we believe is the anointed thing. And we believe the anointed thing is the family. It is the first business, it's the first organization, it's the first everything. And I think that got lost in the sauce or something like that. And people want to succeed. They want to succeed at their move abroad. They want to succeed in their jobs. They want to succeed in their relationships. But they don't understand the Bible or the Word or the Apocrypha and all that is principle based. And the principle is when you understand the foundation that the Most High is working with, the blessing comes through that. And so we are wanting to support our sons. So that's why we're thankful. Like we interact with and learn from you all as mentors to us. And we, you said, yeah, they'll be in the collab, they'll be in this, whatever things we do together. You know what I mean? And it's like we are trying, Marlene and I, we're trying to have our ceiling be their floor. They shouldn't have to start from ground zero. And having said that, they are running things, and the president, CEO, will now speak and say whatever he wants.
Yeah, there's we're looking into a few things. One, more travel, because this is our base. And so we want to look more into that for sure. There's so much to see. And we're also looking into continuing to counsel other people. Like Dad was saying, you guys have mentored us a lot. You have reminded us and others that the market is not saturated. If you're trying to help people adventure out and keep their families together or whatever, and leave the United States for greener pastures, for a new thing. So we counsel people in that respect. Some of our own audience or some of our mutual audience has joined us here, and we're blessed, to say good morning to them, and I'm glad that they're here. Shalom and peace to them. We're learning more from you guys and other people, so as that next we can contribute to business growth for folks. So we're kind of documenting it live, just like you guys are. We're documenting it live so that people can see, here are the lessons that we're learning about travel, here are the lessons we're learning about business and doing things decent and in order and excellent, so that you can find a strong network with us and your business can blossom, so that you can move abroad if you want to, or do whatever is in your heart to do, live that life more abundantly by having that creative independence. So we've registered our business, we've followed you guys' lead, and that's just part of what's next. We're still outlining what 2025 will look like. We're recording visions and things, seeking the Most High, getting inspiration. But we definitely want to travel more going into the new year. That's partially what's next, see what other bases the Most High would show us. And we also plan to be helping more clients and more people move abroad, wherever they want to go, Africa or otherwise, and also generate their own businesses, especially online, because it looks like, following you guys who have opened our eyes, the Most High with the season we're in is really blessing online work. I don't know for how long, but I'm grateful that he's keeping certain things intact. He's given us wisdom to move generously and not be greedy. You dip your toes into certain things, and then when the Most High tells you to jump to the next thing, you do it. So that's partially what's next. We have some places that I'm sure we'll report on the channel and in the newsletter when it's time. More flyer miles we want to get where we'll go next. And we also want to help people move abroad as well, contribute alongside you guys, and also contribute to building people's businesses so that they can be independent and see what the Most High will show them next, determining where they want to go. Not someone else assigning them a purpose or a mission, but experiencing that peace you were talking about when the Most High assigns you your thing and your family is blossoming both financially, health-wise, spiritually, and you can go wherever he tells you to go. So that's some of that next. Yeah.
That's good.
Appreciate it. Real. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment.
Yes, that's good. That's excellent. Foundation is key. And I like how you said that, your ceiling is their foundation. That's very it's a pivotal point in time right now where that just hit home for me. Like the ceiling is the foundation. So that's just that got me stuck. Like, oh man, this is I know just from me just being ahead of my household, how can I have a ceiling be the foundation for the next generation? So yes. Yeah. So do you guys have any last comments? Anything to share with the chat? Anything to share with the audience?
I guess I just say, as we continue to say, y'all can do this. Y'all can make the move for those who are planning it out, whether it's, early next year, late in the year, a year from then. It is possible. It's, I don't know how else to say it right now. In the form of trying to encourage people, you can do it. And We praying for people, you know, who have that heart to want to move to change things. So yes, and there's a lot of us out here, you know, and everybody's got a YouTube channel doing things, but like there is a lot of, we've met a lot of Black Americans and people like on our travels, like we are out here.
Yes. There's a lot of people here that are my age, Mark's age,
Yeah.
retired, single, married, children, you know, all various levels of people. We have friends that, a friend of mine, her mother's in her 90s. So, you know, it's a lot of people here, but I would have never thought I'd be retired in Africa, but bless the Most High.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
do it. You can be. Mom and Dad want to say more about retirement, but it's possible.
Yes.
You can retire. You can get your money until such a time as the Most High shows you you can. You know, through the government, through bank going under, you know, whatever. But they are doing well. There are people like your family, like other mutuals we have or whatever, who, like Daniel was saying, they're generous. They're out. Not all of them are on YouTube. Some of them are just living their lives, doing whatever. But there are people out here for many decades before, you know, maybe us three were born, you know, and they were, you know, younger. They were still leaving the States and living abroad, sometimes in Africa, sometimes in the Caribbean. It seems new because we got social media now, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there have been people doing this stuff since before, and they've been finding ways from then to now to share their knowledge. They're just a little bit ahead of you, and they want to share it with you. They don't want you to think that it's only got to be one way. If there's something more that you want, they're willing to write books or go on YouTube or do interviews or produce a TV show, whatever, to show that, man, there really is a lot of life out here to enjoy beyond just what you know. Whatever you've known, it's enjoyable, but there is more. There is a lot of generosity out here to show you. Yeah, there's culture, there's love. You know, I have been blessed to find love. We know other people who have found love. They're not, you know, they're gonna have ups and downs with different people, but they're not all out to get you. You know, you guys probably experience it. People wondering, like, is it safe? You know, is it interpersonally safe? Can you make friends? Can you date? Can you get married? We know folk who have married locals. We follow other people who live in Ghana, live in South Africa. They've married locals, had children. They're enjoying their lives. They're having cultural exchange together, learning from each other. And there's just an abundance out there. And there's a lot that you enjoy. But again, to their point, you can be retired, because you definitely invited us to share about that. They're living proof, just one more example that yes, you can do it. You can get your money lined up, organized, and it's going to be okay.
Uncle Mark, you have to say any last words?
I think there's the scripture that help me out with this, guys. That is, folks, the children of this world are wiser in their generation than the children of light. And so I'm kind of dovetailing on something one of them was saying, and that is, and what you've been saying, occupy till he comes.
Yeah.
Whatever the thing is, let's kind of put down that attitude that when I die, I'm going to get a shoe, I'm going to walk all over God's heaven when I die. And no. A generation, some argue it's 20 years, some 40 years. What I'm saying is, what I notice is the children of this world, for a period of time, they're paying attention to what is happening, what is going on, because a lot of stuff in parables and so forth are business oriented. That must be for a reason. And so what I'm saying is, when we can loosen up and occupy till he comes, like Nehemiah working on the wall with his homies, you got one hand on the shovel and one hand kind of watching with your spear. You can do that. You can be kind of watching from the wall to see what's going on while you're working and having something built for the kingdom that is really for the purpose of growing and maturing us, which is our original purpose, to be ruling the Most High satellite office, because Earth is this satellite office actually, and that was our original job to do. So I really hope that people would be strong and of good courage and take some steps.
Yes, that's good. Thank you for sharing. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. Yeah, I know there's business is principle of the word. Like really, you have to have some type of business to survive this life that we are living. You got to think of Jacob and his 12 sons. They just had they was a tribe, and they
Yeah.
had was running and everything was okay. It's not like they were separate or anything. So you gotta build from the foundation. So I'm glad that you guys can come on and share your wisdom with the audience, share your wisdom with me. So I'm definitely gonna take that to heart. It's right here um, in the forefront of my eyes. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for having us. We are grateful to you and the wife
Yes.
and your whole family.
Yes.
Blessings be upon you. Thank you for letting us be a part of this.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, and go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, this has been awesome. It's just good to fellowship. It really is.
Yeah, this was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yes. Karibu. Yeah, I still know a little Swahili. So Karibu.
All right.
Yes. But guys, the people that is in the chat now, if you guys enjoyed this live, make sure you like the video. If you catch this later, share, comment. But this is a family that's going to be sharing their experience and their knowledge and understanding and wisdom with us with our State of the Diaspora that is coming up January 12th. So make sure you check the link in the descriptions. And we will see you guys in State of Diaspora.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.